Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. It's just little old me, Greg Cajuste. My partner in crime, Valentina, she's in Maryland right now, and which I'll be joining her, I think, tomorrow morning for her daughter's wedding. Um, I was kind of contemplating whether or not if I wanted to do the show by myself, and evidently the answer is yes. I have two great friends that I have sitting next to me here. I have Benny Montalbano. Is that
It's
Montalbano or
Montalbano.
Montalbano? Okay,
But it's okay.
from Elite,
It's okay. It's okay.
from Elite Painting, and then I have Michael Delahanty. Wait, we see, but I can't pronounce it like that. It's Delahanty,
Delahanty,
not
please.
Delahanty. Delahanty
I answered anything.
from Elite Designing, and we're definitely going to talk about home improvement. That's what this show's basically about, and what you can do, shortcuts, tips, and all that good stuff. So I wanted to start off on my right, which is your left, which Mr. Benny, and just got to tell us a little bit about yourself.
How you doing, Greg? Thank you for having me today. So, my name is Benny. I'm the owner of Elite Painting Services Plus. I'm a painting contractor in Malvern, New York. We service all of Nassau County, some parts of Queens, and a little bit of Suffolk County.
A little bit of Suffolk County.
Just a tiny
You're
bit.
supposed to do everywhere.
No, just a tiny
It's
bit.
just too much, right?
Just, I can't be all over the place.
Too much.
So we are a painting contracting company, like I said, based out of Malvern. From interior to exterior, residential and commercial, we basically handle it all.
Now, painting, you do wallpaper?
We,
No.
we,
Yes,
we,
maybe.
we do
See,
wallpaper.
you know what I got to tell you? It's really, really hard to find someone that does wallpaper. I'm sorry, because
True.
it's like when I moved into my house, we had, I was telling you, we had burlap. Now, if anybody knows what burlap is, it's almost like a thin rug, you know?
Sure.
I mean, you can explain that, but on my left here, Michael will explain. He's with Elite Design, and this is a partnership. This is one conglomerate, huge painting designing company.
Well, that's what we think,
Okay.
and that's
like
what we're
that.
headed for. That's what we're headed for, Greg. Benny and I have been friends throughout the years, and I recently retired and decided to come out of retirement for a while and use my interior design skills for the next few years and see where it takes Benny and I. And so far, it's been
It's
a
been-
great direction. Very
been a-
good. We're
So
growing
far,
very
so good,
rapidly.
right?
It's been a
Indeed.
good ride for the
Right.
the amount of time that we've been together.
Truly.
So see now, as I'm, you know how guys, you know how I am. I'm always on the phone here. So
Yeah,
I
you're trying to
apologize.
get
I'm a little
everything
slow today. But so how did you guys meet? How did you guys decide to, hey, this is what we need to do, or you needed to do, or
You want to start that one?
Sure. I mean, Benny and I have known one another through the village of Malvern for years. I was the president of the Historical Society for a while. And just being on several different community boards, Benny and I have worked together, and we just hit it off just as friends right away. That was a long time ago, Benny.
it was a long time ago.
Correct. And then we worked on a bunch of smaller projects together.
Indeed, we
And you
did.
did some of the design, even though you weren't part of the team at the time.
Right.
But we hit it off even more, and here we are. We have this great relationship, and like you just said, we hit it off, and we're just moving forward from this.
Well, Greg, I have to tell you, part of the reason that I came out of retirement was really because of Benny. Being a designer,
Because of any.
because of
That's
Benny.
it, because
It's
of Benny.
all because of Benny. But being a designer, you have to be very exacting, and the work has to be perfect for the customer, whether you're redoing a room or redoing a whole house. The work from Elite Painting, and I'm not saying this because I've partnered with Benny, is bar none.
Sorry.
When I walk into a room or a house that Benny has painted, the walls look brand new. It's not a handyman job by any means. It's totally professional. And his prices are really very competitive and in touch with people out there, what people can afford nowadays. He uses good quality paint, and what I really like about Benny, I'm going to brag about this for a moment, is that
Thank you.
Don't hold
he
back.
hires.
Don't
no,
hold
I
back.
won't. He hires and has the same employees. So the people with Elite Painting are Elite's employees.
Correct.
So therefore, you know the painters, you know what you're going to get, And they don't get too upset when I walk on a job because as a designer, if I walk on a job, I just want to see how the project's going. And people think I'm checking up on them, which is not always the case. Sometimes, but not always. But with Benny's team, I never have to do that, Greg.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
You know, when I did my home, I pretty much I designed it. I kind of drew a few things that I wanted to be a little bit different from other
Great,
homes.
great.
My house it's like a pie-shaped property, so it's like a backwards F.
Mhm.
Like the entrance is there, and it's kind of here. And I got to tell you, it's like so many. Like after I finished painting it, now you see you have all those.
I do. I've got
swatches,
all my
right?
colors with
And
me.
And you know what? I would take it and I put it up against the wall. I cut a piece, whatever, and try. And I got to tell you something. I must be what are swatches? Swatches. What do you call it? The swatch? What do you call
Color
them?
swatches.
Color
swatches, yeah.
swatches or paint
And
chips.
and I got to tell you something. It was a nightmare. I think I painted, and I have high ceilings, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare trying to get the color. I mean, because it looks different there than when you do a whole entire wall.
Exactly. And one of the things people tend to do with when they go to the paint store and have color swatches like this, which is a great thing, the first thing people do is they take a color they like and they hold it up against the wall to see what it looks like.
Right.
Right? Wrong.
Oh, wrong. You said wrong.
Wrong.
Why?
Absolutely wrong. Let me tell you why. Here's a good example. Here's a pillow from a client's house that the client absolutely loves. Right? We have a dog here.
Okay.
So the first thing I suggest a client to do is to take the colors and hold it up against the pillow and pull a color out of your furniture or your rug.
Yeah, what if you don't have
First.
furniture though?
Well, if you don't have
Right.
furniture,
That's where I started. It was like empty, and I didn't know. So, and I just because I really just wanted the coloring. See, now you're teaching me something that I have no clue about. That I wasn't going to keep the same furniture. I wanted to have a whole. I wanted to have like a leather, but I wanted it kind of contemporary, a little.
right.
You know, I
right,
didn't want
right,
that
right.
retro. I don't want that new stuff where you're walking. It's a black and white kind of a house, and you
Exactly.
can't sit. That's uncomfortable. It's not cozy, and
Exactly. So one of the things that I would suggest if I were your decorator was to say, okay, if you're not sure of your palette, look at furniture or go find a pillow similar to this one, different than this one, whatever. What your eye is actually attracted to is not necessarily the design, Greg, but it's the colors in the pillow that you're looking at. So therefore, once you find something that you like, whether it be a drapery, a piece of material, or something, from that you should pull any of the colors. You could put this pillow in a red room, a green room, a gray room, a gold room, a brown room. You can use several different colors with this. So when people go and they say, oh, I think I'm going to paint my room red. Very good, very good.
I really don't
Thing.
like painting red.
I don't paint red's a very. That's because
You have a
red is
red
the
room?
most
Do you have a red
difficult
room?
color to
No,
paint.
Oh,
it's just
okay.
you know what it is anything with dark colors,
it's
right?
Right.
very
well,
difficult
right.
to paint.
It's 4 coats.
Well, at one time I did a house and it was 8 coats, so I know what you mean. But when you look at reds, there's reds with grays, there's reds with yellows, there's reds with blues. So you can't just say I want to paint my room red. It depends on what furnishings you're going to go with, what carpeting, what draperies. So sometimes I like to say to the client, let's go through the furniture, or someone like yourself that says I want contemporary. Well, contemporary could be a lot of things, and if you wanted a gold, let's say, to go with brown leather furniture, it might be a brown with a gray in it that you pick out, and the gold might not go with the brown furniture you actually had
Right.
chosen. So it's very important to match your furniture first and then the walls. So even if you find something in the store,
right.
or a photo or something you like, start from there.
Because that's what I don't know. I did everything backwards.
No,
I
that's
swear
okay.
I did everything. Once I put the color up, then I decided what I was going to do with the floor.
Right.
Yeah,
Then-
totally. That's the whole thing too. And that's many questions that we get from clients. is
We
what
do indeed.
What do we do first?
Right.
You
So
know?
you recommend furniture first? Take of what, like an idea of what you
Right,
want to do with
right.
the room?
An idea
or-
of what you want to do with the room. Go to your local furniture store, whether it's a brand name store or something, a furniture, pillow, draperies, a carpet. Start somewhere else besides your wall color. And then the wall color will come to you. It won't be such a tough decision. The color will come to you instead of you having to go to the color.
So you know what? After this, you come into my house because I got to tell you, because he's gonna go, Greg, you really effed up. All
No,
right?
no, no,
You
no,
really
no.
did.
No,
He'll
I
be
never
nice. He'll be nice.
I
Right?
never
He'll be
say
nice.
that to
No.
the client.
No, you're
I
like,
just
how
call
do you
Benny.
live like that? It looks great.
No, but the other thing too is like when you're actually doing a room or a house,
100%.
people have so many questions as to do they do the floor first? Do they refinish the floor first? And
That
I
was
always
bad.
advise them to do the floor first, because if you're going to paint fresh
Absolutely.
walls, why kick up the dust from the machines? Even though they say it's 100% dust free, it's really not.
Right.
There's always residual dust that goes in the air. The same thing when it comes to painting. We're spackling stuff, we're sanding stuff. As much as we try to contain the dust down with air scrubbing machines and airflow that goes throughout the house, and we try to give some negative air pressure in there. It's one of those things that the steps that we actually try to take to try to keep that down. So floors first, wall, prep and paint everything, and then the design.
Right.
The vision for the design is there, but in those those steps, that's what you basically do.
When do you come into the picture? Truthfully.
I truthfully
After-
come into the picture just before. I like to come into a project fresh. Now, there are different kinds of fresh in the design area, and let me try and explain that to you. Many times people will have their furniture. Sometimes people have lived in the home for 30 years and they have the same sofa and draperies, and they want to change. So it's a matter of pulling a different color out of what they've previously pulled out.
Right.
Taking a red to a gray, depending on their lifestyle, what they want to do. Sometimes I'll go in, I'm working on a project right now with Benny where I'm doing an entire 6-bedroom state, and we are redoing wallpaper, draperies, furniture, staining the floors differently, painting everything from A to Z in that house. So that's really working with the client, and that's about a 3 to 6 month project. I mean, if you really want to redesign your house and spend good money, you can't do it in a week. Especially now with COVID and things that have been going on. If you
Right.
see a sofa you like or a piece of material, remember the factories have been closed for a year.
So you
So,
might get good deals, you mean?
yeah, no,
Oh, no. No, well, I mean, because they
No.
have stuff that, well, because I'm thinking of it. If you have something to say, this shirt's a year old,
right.
well, now we have new stuff. So all this old stuff that's brand new, wouldn't I just want to get rid of it, or
Well, no,
not
but the problem
necessarily?
is if that shirt, which is stunning on you, by the way, I love what color, it looks good
Thank
on
you.
you. If you wanted to replace that shirt,
Right.
that manufacturer probably hasn't made that same shirt in the past year because the factories have been
Oh,
closed.
okay, okay. I just
So
thought they were
therefore,
just
to
trying
order
to.
that shirt, it may take 6 to 8 months to get that same shirt.
Right.
At this point,
Oh, okay.
same thing with sofas, especially furniture, because nobody's been making furniture
Right.
in China or anywhere in the world
Right.
for the
like,
past year.
but also like most trades, I mean, a lot of lumber's been back, like
Truly.
with a spike of pricing and stuff like that going on. That's another thing. That trying to get the material and trying to get the stuff is hard too.
Right.
Sure.
So
And the clients are pretty understanding at the end of the day once we explain the situation, because everybody in this day and age wants everything done yesterday.
Yeah, that's
if
for
not
sure.
sooner.
That's for
Definitely.
sure.
But if we can't get the paint, or if we can't get the wallpaper, if you choose a wallpaper from Italy, I can't have it in 2 days.
Right.
Right.
I can't do it because they probably have to print the pattern.
Right.
And it could take 3 or 4 months to get that wallpaper. So you
You
have
know what?
patience is the key if you want to do it the right way.
You sit there and you think about it. When you're a designer, you're scared because I know designers get paid accordingly to putting everything together, the price tag of a couch, whatever it is. And sometimes people really, really get scared because they just don't have the money. So what do you suggest for someone that doesn't have it? Can you do, I mean, not you per se, but can a designer partially kind of just help to make it look a little, or no, they don't,
No,
designers
we
have
can
to
do
do
a
the
lot
whole,
of things.
I mean, because,
No, I can go in
Okay.
and give you a consultation for a set price.
okay,
And that's 2 hours. And I'll help you pick colors. We'll look through catalogs. We'll look through things and kind of give you a fair price for that. After that, I have an hourly rate. Now,
Okay.
when I tell somebody what my hourly rate is, they jump and they're like, boy, that's expensive. But keep this in mind, a good designer and one that really truly knows what they're doing, I might be looking for 5 clients at a time. Let's say I'm looking for draperies. So I go into a drapery store, I'm looking for 5 different clients. I may only spend 5 minutes looking for your draperies and realize they're not there. So out of that hour, I've only spent 5 minutes, and that's all you're going to get billed for.
I see what that's great. See,
And furthermore, Greg, let me just add this. My prices to the trade are different than you would go in a store and buy them. So if you hire me as a designer and your drapes are $200, let's say, and I only pay $65 for them, you only pay $65 for
see,
them
people don't know that.
because I pass my trade
Right.
on. So essentially, my goal as designer at the end of a project is to say, not only was I free, but I saved you money.
See,
At the
that's
end of the
key.
day.
And the
That's
same
key.
thing with us.
And that's the key.
This is
Benny,
the same
as
thing
well.
with us, and you know, with the painting end of it, I provide the same value, and you know, like a lot of people like to mark up their materials, and that's number one. Like everybody marks their materials up.
Exactly.
I don't. So if I'm paying $47 for a gallon of paint, that you're going to be paying 57 or close to $60 a gallon, I'm giving it to you for $47. My
See,
labor is my
see,
labor.
Most people
most people don't
see, and
understand
that's
that.
the thing.
Right.
But you guys sit there and you explain it to the customer.
100%.
So-
So on the actual estimate, you know, when I do my estimate, that's what I'm providing, and I'm providing that information to you. To listen, my labor is my labor, but the cost of materials is going to be at my price, at contractor's price, which is going to
Truly.
go over to you. Because what's the sense? I mean, some people just do it, but what's the sense of putting money on top of materials? You know,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and you're getting a value, you know, at that point. So that's the ultimate goal for me when I go in and do an estimate, is to try to win a client and try to explain to them what I'm giving them with a detailed estimate.
Right.
Basically looking at ceiling, crown molding, doors, windows, everything. If there's any stress cracks, if there's any nail pops, if there's tape lines that need to be repaired, those are the things that I'm looking for. Because as the package deal, prep and paint is key. Prep, number one, is key for everything.
Indeed.
Prep is the most important thing of the paint job. The paint job is the easiest thing to do.
Right.
Okay, it's if you don't get those walls
Right.
in a pristine condition,
So you're dealing with the spackling and everything like that too.
100%. So
Just
from
not going
any-
in there and just painting. Because some
Absolutely
people
not.
are like, listen, I'm a painter, and meanwhile, you don't want to spackle. There's like, you know, you're using a lot of them, they try to hide it by using like an eggshell, so you really can't
Which-
see
Right,
as
exactly.
much.
Which I'm just
see?
I'm gonna stop you right there though. How about this? People don't even know the difference between the sheens. So a flat, matte hide imperfections.
Right.
Anything from eggshell all the way up to the high glosses show every imperfection on the surfaces, on
Right.
doors, on frames, on walls. So what I try to explain to a client is, if you're not looking for a level 5 finish, which means a truly flat surface, you're either going to go with a matte finish or an eggshell. Those are the two commonly used paints
Absolutely.
for walls. Okay? But like I said, you know, the prep is key to everything. Caulking, filling, and then, you know, priming everything, making sure that they're getting an actual prime coat, and then to coat everything, and you're 100%.
Before we go on, you got to remind me about a name brand paint I'm going to mention. I just want to give a quick shout out. Ed, how are you? Jenny A, Jenny C, Kevin Brady, Saba, how you doing, sweetie? Rich, how you doing? Rosemary Gridley, how are you, sweetie? Say hi to John. Robin, love. Karen, how you doing? I know I'm probably going to see you tonight. David Morse, heads up. Oh, we can't hear Benny. Can you hear Benny or no? He's good to go? Oh, he's got, okay. Somebody said that, yeah.
Thank you.
Bob D'Amato, I know they're going to be having a show soon. I can't wait. Looking forward to that. Then we have Carrie Ann. How are you, Carrie Ann? Philip, how are you? Philip, I'm called Philip. And I know I missed a few, but if I did miss a few, I apologize. And getting back to this with painting, I bought a name brand paint. And I know it's not, they don't have it anymore, but I could say it now, but it was Ralph Lauren.
Mhm.
I turned around, Home Depot, and I said, you know what? I said, my house, it's a beautiful house to me. You might not find it, but it's something that I did with my hands, so I'm very proud of it. So they had Bear, they had all those name brand things, whatever.
Absolutely.
And so I turned around, I said, you know, since I'm really going out, let me get this name brand.
Sure.
Well, I heard they don't make it anymore. Okay, now I know why. I swear to you, I got 4 cans of the same paint. It was like a light greenish,
Uh-huh.
and one can I did wall, the other one, and I swear to you, when they dried, it were kind of different. Even when they mixed it, you know how they mix it? And they put it on the top.
Was it the suede paint?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
The suede.
But I didn't know.
It's suede. Yeah, that's so in the trade we
So
call.
explain what that is. So I know that.
Well, I don't truly know
Oh,
how
okay.
the
And Brenda, I'm
finishes.
sorry, love. I'm sorry. I didn't say how do you love you, hon. And everybody's saying love the information.
Awesome.
So just to let you guys
Yeah.
know that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And if you love the information,
Right,
please go
that's
to
it.
our website, and take a look at what
Definitely.
we offer. As far as the suede, there's a chemical or something that they put inside the paint that allows it to look like suede, and even to the touch, you could actually
Yeah,
see it's
yeah.
like a almost like a texture. I have no idea what is put in that, but we technically call it a flash mark. So if you see two different,
Yeah,
so it
it's just like
dries.
just like a suede coat. You go like this, it's one way. You go like this, it's
Correct.
darker.
Right.
Yep.
And I swear to you, I turned around. I said, "Oh my God, what happened?" And I turned around, not even knowing that, really knowing it.
Sure.
I went and I redid the whole damn thing. I was like, I can't have this. This looks like lines, and
Sounds
but
familiar. Right. Right.
I
right.
didn't know any better.
Takes a while.
Right.
But one thing I learned, and I learned a lot due to trial and error, like with the um, using like making it faux,
Faux
Yep.
finish.
Yep.
and using the newspaper. Yeah, and you know what? I enjoyed doing it. Then I used the sponge. I didn't like the sponge as much. Then I just took the newspaper, and so I mean, I had fun. I ended up doing this myself, even this club. It's not anything,
Looks
whatever.
great.
No, but it looks
But
good.
Yeah, it's great.
you're definitely going to talk to me about this after. You know you're not leaving. You know you're not leaving. But yeah, even finding out about all different kinds of paints, like you said, using the swatches. For some reason, I don't know. I maybe like I said, I did it backwards. I painted, and then I looked at I just wanted the color,
Hmm.
and I went around the color. I didn't like
Hmm.
you just said. I should have went around, but I didn't use any of my furniture.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Or even a picture, if you have a favorite picture. That's a good place to start as well. Because again, one of my props, I might as well use them while
yes,
I'm here.
please.
Picture or wallpaper. This is a client's picture that she has in her dining room. And she asked me, well, what color would you suggest? And the first thing I said to her, well, tell me what you like about the picture. And she said to me, I like that it's an old tavern. It gives me an old English kind of feel. So therefore, I would pull colors from that period as well, because there were different colors at different periods in time. So you could pull anything from this to a moss green,
Now
to
you
a
have
red, to
stained
even an
glass,
orange.
so you're not even looking at that. Like the
I'm looking at any of the colors in this picture.
okay.
And if you put pictures like this on a darker background, if you like to display art, the pictures pop more, and your eye goes to the pictures and not the walls. On a lighter wall, the picture gets lost. On a darker wall, you see the pictures, they pop more. So,
Never
for
really even thought of
example,
that.
with this, I could go, well, excuse me with my thing, but I mean, there's a whole array of colors that would go with this picture. I mean, even if you wanted to pull some of the pinkish orange out of the innkeeper's shirt, we could do that. Million things you could do. So this is where I would start to decorate a room, because this is her favorite focal point. So a whole room is done
Wow.
around this. As a matter of
So you're
fact,
telling me, wait a second, you're going to decorate the whole entire room
yes,
based
including
off of
draperies
this.
and furniture off of this picture, because this is her love.
I
So
would have
hope she
never
doesn't
thought
mind I
that.
borrowed it. But that's where you have to start. Thank you. And one final thing I'll just add with color, and I don't
Yes,
want
or
to
no?
take
Oh,
over the
this-
whole
okay.
show,
No, by all means,
is
please.
wallpaper. This happens to be a Ralph Lauren wallpaper. And again, here, a lot of people like to wallpaper one wall, a statement wall, if you will, or an accent wall. Beware. Be careful. If you do it with wallpaper, you choose the wrong color, it looks like you ran out of paint or you ran out of
No,
wallpaper.
really?
Truly. Because sometimes if the wallpaper is too overpowering, like this is a pretty overpowering wallpaper. So if you did this on one wall and
Can
did
you
the
do
walls,
Can
let's
you
say,
do a little light or no? I mean something.
absolutely, I could do I could pull the light green out of there. I could pull the yellow or
the-
creams out of there, which are lovely. But if you did it in the darker browns, the rest of the room, it's going to look like you ran out of wallpaper and you couldn't afford to finish the room.
Really?
Yeah, so it's all the way, because your eye will go to this
You can't use any of the
right
like
away.
the burgundies or
You could use the burgundies, but you have
it's
to
going
be
to get
careful
lost again, right? Is that-
which shade of burgundy you use. You can use the burgundies, but not the browns. I would not use the browns in this, because you look like you couldn't afford the whole roll. So there's certain things that the eye will catch and the eye will not catch. So this is great for a library and office something like this. I wouldn't put anything like this necessarily in a bedroom, but it would look great in
Like an office?
an office,
No.
a library. Yeah,
See, like
someplace
my,
fun.
my office, I would like that.
Yeah, absolutely. There
That
you
would,
go.
That would be really, really nice.
Okay, I have the pattern number on the top, so
Look
I'll order,
at
I will order it
this. He
for
already
you.
made his sale. Look at this.
Yeah. That's only $425 a single
And that's only
roll.
because he loves me. That's it,
Right,
okay?
yeah.
Because he
That's
loves
true.
me.
But again, you don't have to have that. A lot of times clients will see something like this at $300 or $400 a roll for wallpaper, and it can be extremely expensive, as Benny can tell you. But let's find something very, very similar for $40 a roll and make it work.
And please don't go to Amazon to buy wallpaper.
Yeah, I
Really?
mean, there's no,
Yeah,
no,
see,
there's
see, you know what? I
nothing
got to
wrong
be
with
honest with
that.
you. I didn't even know. I mean, I know Amazon. You could buy everything under the sun, but I would never think of going to Amazon to buy wallpaper. And you know what? Amazon isn't necessarily cheaper. It's just that it's faster. You'll get it quicker. So
Sure.
you know, because there were things that I looked for that I couldn't find. Like I have these palm trees that they're light up palm trees.
Right.
So when I went online, I found a place, but it's like 4 weeks to get them, and I need it right
Amazon?
away. Amazon, 3
Prime.
days,
3
Prime,
days, yep.
Right,
3 days,
exactly,
and it
yeah.
cost me an extra 25, I think. But you know what? I didn't have to wait 4 weeks. So
It's well worth
sometimes
it.
you sit there, you know.
Truly.
But like even here, I didn't touch the floor. So this thing was based. There was no bar. There was no I even made the seats. I mean, even these seats and the carpet I laid down, whatever. But I had to work with kind of earth tones. But
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't.
It's
I
a
have
good
that
choice.
floor in my downstairs.
You joking?
No, I'm not kidding. 24 by 24. I have that tile. I actually laid
man.
that tile.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, at home I laid that. But again, now I want to change it.
Hmm.
But I don't want to touch the floor.
Right.
I want to make it. I was thinking about making it a little bit brighter. I mean, when you see the neon lights, when I shut everything off, I want you to just give me a little opinion, both of you guys. But again, earth tones, and do I make this lighter? You know, or
Well, it depends
You
on
know?
it depends on the concept. What I would suggest is I've had the opportunity to travel over the world, so I've been to a lot of
yeah,
clubs.
you have to. That's another thing I meant to. So I don't want to forget.
No,
I
that's
want you
right.
to tell us some places that you've.
I've been to Richard Branson's clubs, you know, at the
Wow.
Garden in London, you know, to the Ghost Bar in Las Vegas, you know, all over. So what I suggest people do is we used to say look through magazines. Now you say look at the computer. Find me some inspiration, things you like, and we can pull from inspiration like that. And it also has to do, of course, with clubs with acoustics, size,
Right.
you know, and what type of vibe you want in your club.
See, that's my other bar that I used to have. I brought the city into Franklin Square. That's what I wanted. I wanted to try to do that with this, but I was bringing a little bit more, little 80s neon kind of.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
and it's an older
Slowly.
crowd. This is an older crowd that I have here, but then like I said, I didn't want to make it like a kiddie nightclub kind of thing. You know
Right,
what I mean?
absolutely.
You know, so-
Sophistication.
Yeah.
You want it
So
sophisticated. For the
so
right crowd.
and even then trying to figure out with tiles and even then I mean I created I'll tell you more about that after. But I just get into that. I'm sorry. Jeffrey, how are you? Robin, Elisa, congratulations. Elisa Tom is watching, which is I have to mention. He's a Kiwanian from Malvern. He
Oh,
just didn't
hi,
let us
Elise.
know what
Hi,
position he
Elisa.
is. Hi,
We
Elise.
know you.
Okay. Michael is joining. I can't wait. So, all right, he doesn't have a choice now. Okay.
No, not any.
And Debbie, how are you? Robin, you know, I got to tell you a funny story. We were out there. They had what was it? A
It was a merchant's.
merchants.
It was a street fair
Street
for
fair, okay, for
small
merchants.
business. Yeah,
Okay.
for small
And
business.
so
in
I
Malvern.
thought, I mean, we spoke via Zoom, and all of a sudden Michael was there, and this guy's bright as, I mean, he's nothing but sun. He really is. He just looked at me, gave me a big hug. I loved it because everybody knows I'm a hugger, and I was like, I love this guy. And then we just started talking,
That was great.
and I was so impressed with these two, and I said, guys, I need you on the show, and I did, and I'm
Well,
very
thank you.
grateful
Thank you for
We're
that.
very
for
glad.
having
We're
both
very
you
glad
guys
to
on
be
the
here.
show. You know.
Truly.
Absolutely.
And so Alicia was like, "You think we did okay today?" You know, I mean, we went quite a few people there, and
We're gonna snag a bunch in.
yeah,
Yeah.
We'll get 'em.
we'll get it. We'll get them.
We'll be your
We'll-
scouts.
That's it.
We'll get 'em.
And I don't know if you could mention. I know there's one job that you're going to do. Or you're not allowed to mention it, though you don't mention it. But just known,
Well,
renowned
it's a job
person.
that we've already done.
Oh, you've done it already.
And
Okay. I'd like
I
to-
was thinking of the initial CD.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
Can we use that?
Yes, that's what I want to. No, no,
I
no.
don't know if we
To me,
can
I'll
use
use
that.
it.
That's
I would
really
love that.
Benny. That's really Benny's Ballywick, so I don't know. It's his client.
Christian Dior. He's like, what? Did I say that? I
You
didn't say
did a
that.
very
I
high
didn't
end.
say that.
Okay,
No,
I
it's
guess-
impressive.
I
No,
guess,
you know what?
I
He's
guess
come
gonna
on.
have to.
That's
but-
impressive. You're gonna have
Okay,
to.
we're client
So
dropping
we
now.
Just a little bit, guys. Just a little
Just a
bit.
little bit.
All right. So
Don't
part
repeat it.
part of my part of my networking with a lot of the nationwide painters,
Right.
I came across a really cool individual who does a lot of high-end work in Manhattan and couldn't handle this particular job or doesn't really come out to the island. So he's pretty impressed with what I've been doing with the business and
That's really
the
impressive.
work that we do and all that stuff. And he introduced me to the property management company, and they reached out to me, which I never thought they would reach out to me.
Right.
It was just like a simple email. I'm just introducing you, and then all of a sudden, hey,
Oh my God.
it's us.
Oh wow.
And when she gave me the work orders, it said Christian Dior, and I went back to my wife. And I'm like,
Is this that one, or is it someone just happened to be named by?
no,
It's the real. Oh,
no, no,
see?
no, 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 no. It was actually so what they have a big management company
Right.
that takes care of all of
Right. Okay. All of
the
this.
Americana and
Okay.
all these high end stores and stuff like that. So I read the email and I said to my wife, I said, Maria, I don't think you're gonna believe this, but we're doing Christian Dior. And the first thing out of her mouth was, "What are you buying me?"
See, that's love.
So
That's love.
What was I gonna
What
do?
are you buying me?
What are you buying me? So no, I'm grateful to be able to service Christian Dior. They had some decorative molding that needed to be refinished, resurfaced, and some wall spaces that needed, from everyday usage. Some what do you call it? Dressing rooms.
Right.
So everyday use, oils on the hands,
Right.
on the paint. So we had to redo a bunch of the stuff in there, and just got the feedback a couple days ago. They were extremely happy with us, and they're planning on giving
Congrats.
us some other work.
That's great.
Yeah.
I turn around and sometimes you look at. See, now I love crown molding.
Mm-hmm.
It makes
I love it.
everything.
Yes,
Just like the frames.
absolutely.
See, like this, I love.
Yeah.
I just wish I had a house that could match that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've seen like I've always done construction, and I could. Whenever I see crown molding, and sometimes people they're like, "Listen, cut everything out, take everything out." I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
No, I
see a
don't
lot
want
of
that. I
people
don't
do
want that. I want it to me. I don't want. And I'm like, we're talking the old style, thick, heavy wood,
Sure.
like mahogany kind of thing. I mean,
Right.
You don't find that stuff anymore.
oh man,
You
You
know,
don't find it.
you don't, and they don't realize how they're devaluing the property
right.
by taking it out.
Like I've always wanted a brownstone. Always
Okay.
wanted a brownstone. I could have bought them years ago, but I never thought about it because you never thought of,
No.
you're a kid, you don't know
No.
any better.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
Look at
and
'em
then
now.
they sit there, can't go near it.
Look at them
you
now,
know,
yeah.
can't go
Sure.
near it.
No.
But even out in the Hamptons, would you guys go out there to the Hamptons? You guys go if you had a really big job, then you would go, right?
Of course, I would.
Okay.
I would have to, find a room or a hotel for the
Right.
guys and myself, and do what we have to do.
See, that's good.
I've
So
done
then
some
you're not
work
afraid.
in the Hamptons, and I've done some work in Jamesport. So I've done quite a bit of homes out east.
So you travel everywhere, though.
I'll go anywhere.
Yeah,
I
see,
go
that's
anywhere.
great.
I think at the pinnacle of my design career, I was asked to work on a very high-end hotel in London. So that was a big project. That was a year and a half.
Now we're designers. See now, and I know designers. Well, when it's coming from New York or California, then it's okay. But I can imagine the designers there in London, like, what the hell are you doing? Farming it out or having someone, you know what I mean?
Right.
You
Well,
think of all
what are
these
you doing
great,
over
yeah,
here?
right. What are you doing here?
Right.
And,
it's very interesting because when you're working on a hotel or a restaurant sometimes, but especially hotels, there are different designers involved. So you cannot go in with an ego. You have to throw your ego, check it at the door, and you know nothing about design when you walk in, and you listen to the
see,
other
that's the
designers.
key. That's the key.
That's my trick, and I don't open my mouth. And then I'll go and I'll sketch up a room, and they'll say, wow, that's exactly what we were thinking of. That's because I was listening and not saying anything. So, and then the designers really have to decide, well, I like your crown molding. Your choice of wallpaper is great. Michael's choice of fabric was great. Let's throw this room together. So one room, when you go into a hotel in one room, there might be 4 or 5 designers involved in that,
In one room.
in one room
All
alone.
right, but who's the? I mean, so you're contributing.
Mhm.
You're contributing. You're contributing. Then
There's
then what?
multiple.
Then what?
Yeah,
so it's
there's
that
a
one
lead-
person
a
that's
lead
a lead. Right. I was
project
going to say.
manager.
Okay.
A lead project manager. So
Say,
if
I
I
like
choose
the way-
the
right.
wallpaper, I
You
have
might
to
want
be
the
there when
carpet.
that
You might
wallpaper
do-
is installed. It's my responsibility to make sure it's hung perfectly.
Other times you don't agree with the other designers. You
Um,
just don't say anything, right?
No, honestly, if I don't agree with the designer, I will tell them, and I will tell them why, and then they will tell me why I'm wrong, which only I think makes me a better designer at the end of
Right.
the day. Even with clients, if clients don't agree with something I bring to the table, I had a lovely woman yesterday. I sent her samples of wallpaper. She came back to me. Kind of hard to explain, but they were big urns, and on the urns there were leopards. Which were the handles to the urns. And I just thought it was wild and a little crazy. So I was really like more or
Wait,
less testing
urns
the
that
client.
had leopard handles.
It was a wallpaper that was
Right,
stamped in
right.
they were blue and white urns. And
Right.
when you looked at the urns, you noticed those are leopards on each side of the urns. It was really kind of fun. So I was testing her as she was testing me. So I sent it to her, and the email back was, do I have to feed, how many times a day do I have to feed the wallpaper?
Oh God.
So I said, okay, you win. So now I know where I stand with you, you know. So sometimes, you know, I'm not always right. The customer is really always right. And if I find that the customer is lacking, I'll just share one other thing with you, which I think is very important in design. And Benny and I both share this feeling. One thing you have to learn when designing a room or a house, you have to remember people's age. People of a certain age start to develop cataracts, early onset glaucoma, things like that.
Ah,
They
that's
don't
the
see
last
colors.
thing in the world would you think of?
They don't see colors. So if you put a white plate on a white tablecloth, they will actually have a hard time seeing that plate. So
Are
you
they-
have to
are they
do
gonna
color
eat?
dimensions.
How are they gonna eat?
Yeah,
I'm
how are they
kidding,
going to
I'm
eat?
kidding,
Right.
I'm kidding.
No, but you have to do color dimensions. And also, some people with early onset Alzheimer's or dementia, a bathroom may need to be a bright orange or a dark blue or something. So they know in their mind, if they have to go to the bathroom, they just need to look for that color. So if you notice hospitals and assisted living homes, the hallways are different for reasons. Because they know at the end of a hallway, if there's a red wall at the end of that hallway, that's where their dining room is, and they need to follow that red wall to go and have their dinner. So there's a lot involved when you're dealing with clients, just besides
See, I
what looks
never would have
pretty.
thought of that.
What it
You know
has
what I
to
mean?
be
Look,
has to
I
be
mean, it's-
functional. Has to be functional.
He had to explain that to me.
Okay.
I did not. Benny's just being humble as he always is.
Jim Mancuso, which is a dear friend, and he's our governor-elect for Kiwanis. And I'm always teasing him. Well-dressed, his brother is going to be president of Kiwanis International. And I tease Jim constantly because kind of like to dress a little bit.
Mm.
So he always has shoes that have nice shoes, but scuff marks everywhere. And it drives me crazy. And so he always makes fun of me. But so last time I saw him, I brought him a little polisher.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm surprised that he's watching. And I'm sorry, Jim, I had to say it. Okay. But Barbara, how are you? Amy, Nancy, how are you? Love. Hopefully, I'm going to get to see you this weekend. And there's Adira Deval. Hello, how are you? And Brenda, this is my neighbor. I love her. I haven't seen her in a while. You have to stop by. Robin, Dicky, how are you? And Jeffrey. I know I'm missing some other people. Eddie Babo. I hope I'm saying it.
Eddie.
Eddie,
Yeah.
you know Eddie.
Yeah,
Okay,
of
Eddie's
course.
watching. Yes. So in case I know I'm missing other people, so please, I apologize if Thomas Michael Kilbasinski. Thomas. Let me see anybody else. Good afternoon, wonderful day, wedding day. Okay, they're having a wonderful. They're having a wonderful wedding day. Okay. Anyway, getting back to this, the what I was thinking of is when do you guys get yourself involved with, like they have like networking things.
Mhm.
If somebody wants to price a designer a painting, do you suggest that they go and get 2-3 quotes?
Well, I mean,
I mean,
the ultimate goal for me is to close the deal on the spot,
okay,
or just basically impress them and show them the value that we do. You know, that
Right.
what we bring to the table. So
but are you that nice guy that would say, listen, if you're not happy, just please?
I always say, I want you to have
Okay.
other estimates.
Absolutely.
See, that's great. Most people see, like me in real estate. It's true. When I walk in a house, I don't want to leave until you signed.
Well, it's
You know what I
always
mean?
Right, of course.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean? You want to
absolutely
always
right.
close the deal.
Always,
You know what I mean?
always
You
be
wanna
closing,
close the deal.
right?
Yeah, always be
Always be
closing.
closing.
That's right.
Close that
Right.
deal.
You know, so, but I was always the type that I said, listen, if you're not happy, don't even worry about it. I said, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So please go check. And
Definitely.
but there are other companies. I don't know the name of the company, but there's one company that charges just to look at like their paint things. Those.
The color charts?
They
Yeah.
do. Yes.
How
some
do people do that? I mean, I could understand. You're sitting there. You're talking. You're suggesting. I mean, they pretty much know what they want.
Right.
So they need a job. They want a good job. They want a clean job, attention to detail job.
Right.
And that's where you come in.
Right. So what I'm trying to do is, everybody wants to hire a handyman, right?
Right.
See,
that's yeah.
You
But
know-
then you get what you pay for.
100%.
I always say that, you
But
get
you know
what you
what?
truly
I
do.
can't.
You truly
Look. At the end of the day, if you really think about it, like when I first started this, of course I was a handyman. I was a jack of all trades. I was able to do moldings and all backsplashes and everything else. And you work your way up, right? So I took on a passion for painting. That was
See, now,
just
wait. Now, you see now, like even construction, like my father, he always said, I was exactly that, a jack of all trades,
Master of none.
technically master of none.
Correct.
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
you know what? I don't care. My father used to get mad at me and he'd say, you need to focus and put all your eggs in one basket. I said, Dad, but think about it. You put all those eggs in that one basket, and I have 3 eggs in this, but if I drop one basket, I still have a few more eggs. He's like, oh, you don't think like that. He would get so crazy. And
Right,
and it's
right.
true. You really can't focus on so many projects.
no, but like
But-
with like getting having a niche,
Right.
and that was the number one thing. Like I always had an eye for finish work. I just
And that's everything. The finishing work is key because a friend of mine who taught me a lot about construction, he goes, Greg, it's easy to turn around and you put a molding where some guys, well, when you put a molding, you don't cut it straight and whatever. You
No,
slit.
you gotta miter it.
Okay, miter it. And I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know. I was young. I was
you're
learning.
Right, correct.
And then there were guys that are just finishers. Like when you do a job, they go in there and it's like I said, attention to detail. Everything is like impeccable, and that's what they. He goes, I'm a finisher,
100%. Yeah,
Surely.
definitely.
not realizing that was something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Very important stuff.
Yeah, but
So
I mean, that's just what it is. But getting back to the whole thing with with everybody out there, everybody can paint, right?
Right.
Everybody can paint.
yeah, I know everybody's a painter. Oh, you're charging $400 or $500 to paint this. The paint only costs $50.
Right.
and
But they don't
that's what you hear.
understand. They don't understand
know,
the
you
rest
know,
of it that
that's
comes
right.
with it. You know what I mean? So, look, I'm I'm going to mention Benjamin Moore, but even straight across the board, Sherwin Williams, Benjamin Moore, Bear,
What's
Glidden,
the difference with them? If the ingredients say the same,
It's
is it because it's a name brand? Now we all know. I mean, I used to really be a big name brand, and most of my suits are custom because of my size.
Mhm.
It's not like I wish I could get something like off the rack. Well, not really, but sometimes for a big guy, it doesn't look good.
yeah, it's
You know
tough,
what I
right?
mean? Really, if I buy a $300 suit,
Right.
it doesn't look good on me, and
Right.
the lapel,
Right.
so
It hangs.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So,
I
all right, you understand. So sometimes somebody will have a knockoff of something. Just say of a T-shirt. And just the other day, I pulled in. I had to go bring my vacuum. I love my Auric vacuum, and they don't make Aurics anymore, from what I understand them. And I love this thing. It's still brand new. And I went there and I was waiting while the guy, he just had to go and fix something with the belt, adjust it. And there was a man selling T-shirts and, little tchotchke kind of things. And he says, hey, I have a T-shirt for you. So I'm looking at the guy and I said, okay. Now me, I can't say no, I really can't. And the guy says, listen, I promise you, you try this T-shirt on. He goes, you're not happy, you bring it back to me. So they said, and it was $8 for the T-shirt. I said, first of all, this thing, as big as this is, it's going to shrink to about this big.
Right.
And he turned around, he says, no, he said, I'm telling you, the same company that makes, I don't know if it was, I think he said Jockey or one of them, it's the same, but it's just another name that, like when they have extras, whatever it is, they have
Oh, the
not a
not a
remember the name
knockoff, but
that he used,
the rejects.
like like rejects, thank you.
Irregular.
So irregular. So I'm waiting
Irregular,
for. I'm
okay.
looking at the sleeve, saying, well, maybe one sleeve might be like this, but it wasn't. Anyway, I bought 2 shirts from the guy, and the shirts they turned out to be pretty good. I mean, they were undershirts,
Okay.
and as soon as I went home, I threw them right in the wash, do a lot of Clorox in there, put it on high heat, and I was waiting to see it come out like this for a Joe, But I got to tell you something.
It held up.
Yeah, held up. I
worked.
was
Good.
shocked.
Nothing
There you
like a
go.
bargain.
I swear to you, nothing like a bargain.
Nothing like a bargain.
And I turned around. I said, "Well, $8." He says, "Look, I'll give you 2 for 15." I said, "All right, no problem. I'm not even going to wheel and deal with you." I said, because I always turn around. I do things differently a lot of times when it comes to doing charitable things. Where instead of going to a church, temple, mosque, whatever it is that you give, I rather give someone, and that's something that's really I'm very big on. If we go to a diner, we go to a restaurant. I don't care. Just say if the food, whatever is, coffee, breakfast, 50, $60. I'll turn around and I'll give the girl 100. Because instead of me giving it to the church, I don't know where it goes to. I really don't. But I rather get that instant gratification of watching someone like, are you kidding me? You just gave me like a 40. Like the guy. Well,
Sure.
I like the guy in the news that gave I think $1,000 tip or something.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
not get
Yeah,
cuckoo
yeah.
for Cocoa Puffs. I love everybody, but I rather divide that. Okay?
There you
I can
go.
make a lot of people happy.
Of course.
you
sure,
know.
Sure.
But when people talk about name brands, and just like you were mentioning,
I mean, my go-to paint. I've tried pretty much everything, and you get your flaws in a lot of other paints.
but what is it now? If you wanted to say these walls,
Mhm.
would you use a Sherman or would you use a this, that? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Do you?
my
Yeah, your
so architects, designers, if you're doing commercial work, most of the times it's Sherwin-Williams.
really.
Most of the time, you get very you get a handful that work with Benjamin Moore. Me, from when I started to where I am today, all Benjamin Moore.
Really?
I swear by their product. I stand by their product. And you know what? What's even better than that? And I think all the companies do, but Benjamin Moore, their reps are there for us all the time if
And
there's
they're
a
behind
failure
you.
in the
They're
paint.
behind you.
100%.
I got to tell you, Sherwin Williams. I wanted to get paint. I was painting here,
Hmm.
and they said, and I said I needed the 5 gallons. I needed like 4 or 5 5-gallon things of paint, and they said to me, "Well, we need you to fill this out." And they wanted a designer. They wanted for me to meet a designer.
Yeah, because there's
See, but that kind of. But I
Yeah,
said I need to
that's
paint
like-
now. I
Yeah.
don't want to make an appointment to see the designer.
Right.
And I
Yeah,
was like,
absolutely.
see, that I didn't like.
Yeah.
That it was like, I don't mind. You want to set up an appointment for later down the road, but I need to paint right now.
right.
Right.
And they said,
You
well,
already have
right,
You got it in your mind that you want to get this done.
yeah. So that's the only thing I didn't like
Yeah,
about it.
I understand.
But the
Yeah.
paint, I mean, they finally gave me the paint after like an hour, and I'm disputing with them. I'm like, guys, I need to have this thing done by this week. I need the paint. And I'm like, oh, okay, let me see.
So now Sherwin-Williams opened up right across the street from Aboff's.
Yeah, I
right
know.
here in West
Yeah, that's
Hempstead.
where I went to.
So what do you think they do? They see my vans like a half hour later. They see the van. They call me up. Hey, when are you gonna stop by? When are you gonna
Really?
buy?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's very difficult because when you know the paints, and look, every customer that we go to, they ask, "What paint are you using?" Because we only like Benjamin Moore.
See, like
Yes.
one of the guys said, wait, carpeting wooden floors. Wait, Benjamin Moore for siding as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They actually,
Really?
They
Yeah,
actually
they're the
make an
best.
exterior siding paint.
They make an
You're
excellent.
kidding me?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good stuff, and it lasts forever.
Oh. Learn something new every day.
Yep.
Hi, Heidi. How are you, sweetie? I know I have to stop by Crab Legs. She makes great crab legs.
Where?
Big crab legs. Oh, she's a friend of the family.
Oh.
Oh, Heidi will be over.
Look at- he'll design, he'll paint, I'll eat.
Exactly.
There we go, yeah.
Here we go. Sounds good.
Yeah. So anyway, how do we get a hold of you? I mean, even though we're gonna be on. If you also want to find out, you go on Long Island Breakfast Club show page, and all their info will be there. And other way, besides that, phone
Okay,
numbers,
So,
Facebook, Instagram. What is it? Whatever
all
you
right, so
guys.
we're going to do, well, we are definitely on Instagram. We're definitely on Facebook. It's Instagram.com/Elite Painting LI. And the same thing goes for Facebook. It's Facebook.com/Elite Painting LI. The website, you could also go to the website and take a look at all the stuff that we've done. You could actually fill out a contact form, and we can contact you then. And that website is elitepaintingservicesplus.com. And last, the phone number is 516-697-2468. And on our trucks, it's 69 paint. 516-69 paint.
Is that what it's 6'9" paint?
Absolutely.
That's
Yep.
6'9" paint.
That's
and
us.
you?
That's me. Same
Yeah,
thing.
same
Reach
thing,
me
just
through
to make
Benny.
sure.
I'm working as a lead designer, and I just had you mentioned very briefly. I want to add that we talked about expensive things, top name brands. One of my favorite ways to decorate a house is garbage picking.
See, somebody else said that. Listen, you
But
know
I
what?
have a
That's
trick,
what,
a
that-
very good trick to share with you, and I'll share it just with your audience and no one
Uh,
else. I never do
okay.
this. If you see a piece of furniture on the road, whether it be a
let me
dresser
just
or a
move this down,
buffet,
move this down. I
oh,
don't want it to
sorry,
fall down on you.
whether it's a dresser
Right
or a
there.
buffet,
Okay.
while I get
There we
hooked
go.
in here. Thank you, Greg. Take the drawers, because that gives you time to phone a friend, because you can't get a dresser in your car by yourself. But if you take the drawers, no one else is going to
Yeah,
take
that's
that dresser.
I love that.
without the
Look,
drawer.
never,
So you're halfway there.
never thought of that. I
You
love
call,
that.
you call a nice big strong guy like Greg or Benny, and you say,
you know who he
"Meet
calls?
me on the corner."
He calls me.
He calls
because I
you.
got- I
I
got
call
a
Hurry
little
up.
truck.
Because he has,
Oh my
he has the
God.
truck. So truly, that's a thing to do, and I learned that years ago. Many people nowadays they say everything old is new again.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to miss this. Let me help
No,
you.
thank
Please.
you.
Right this way.
Much
Okay,
better. That
perfect.
even
There we
feels
go.
better. Thank you. You cannot buy a piece of Duncan Pfeiffer Drexel Heritage furniture. Where other people go to these new discount furniture stores,
Right.
and they can buy a whole dining room set for $5.99 with the buffet and the hutch and everything else. I have gotten $24,000 dining room sets for $599 in discount stores, or saw them on the side of the road. Because if grandma should pass away and the rest of the family lives in Minneapolis, let's
Right.
say, they're only going to fly in for 2 days to probate the will and put all of that furniture out on the curb. So there's nothing wrong with that. So take it, but stay away from upholstered furniture.
Really?
Yeah, because you never know what's living in it.
Yeah, that's true.
There might be something living
right,
in that
that's right.
furniture
Yeah,
you don't
you
want to
never know,
bring into
'cause,
your
yeah.
house. But if you really love it, have your furniture upholsterer pick it up. Have it reupholstered, then
Yeah,
deliver
let
it.
them just, yeah.
So that's my hot tip for the day.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's a great way. I've gotten some beautiful pieces, even in my own home.
You know, I had a friend of mine in the city, and it was in the Soho, and I've always wanted an apartment like this, where there's a name for it specifically, but it had the big elevator. These really big doors where it was more like a delivery kind of thing, where you had the whole floor,
Like a loft.
like a loft. But there's a specific name for that, and he found a big mirror like the size of like half of a wall,
Yeah.
and it wasn't cracked. He found tables. Just going through the garbage.
Sure. Sure.
And you know what it is? Somebody's garbage is somebody else's treasure, as they say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and I got to tell you, I went to one. You know, sometimes they have not the Salvation, or like a Salvation Army or one of those other places. I remember I was looking for a specific chair, and somebody said, "Well, go over there." You know, it's like not even half the price.
Truly.
But I got to tell you, I wanted it for my TV room. I have a TV room with a big screen, and that's like my domain. And I found two chairs, and when I found the two chairs, the lady was like $1,000. I said, "Listen, they're 1,300, brand new."
Right.
And she wanted to charge me 1,000. I was like, "What kind of discount is that?"
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? I might as well spend the 300
Yeah.
and get a warranty on it.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
But you just have to pretty much know what you really want. It's like going for what is it the clothing, the vintage.
Right. The vintage clothing. Yes,
And
absolutely.
I never knew there's such a big market for that.
You know, it's
There's such
really
a big market.
shopping is so much fun for people, because I will tell you, St. Vincent de Paul, which is one
That's
of my
it.
favorite places to shop. When I go in there on a Tuesday afternoon, which is usually when the new stuff comes in, it's all interior designers. We know one another. We know when to show up.
Really?
Yeah, and sometimes I'll see something coming off the truck, and I'll say, "Nope, stop right there. Put it right back on and deliver it to this address, or deliver it right to my furniture refinisher and have it redone." So I've done
great.
beautiful dressers and bedrooms for under $10. I
You
mean,
see, and
stuff
this
you
is what
can't
people
buy.
don't know. Because truthfully, when you hear a designer, that's what I think of. See, most designers don't even tell you that, and you know that.
Sure, absolutely.
And,
No,
and,
because they
and
want to
just
charge
the
you a lot.
tips, just the tips that you just gave to our viewers, for the fact of if you find something, you're not going to charge them 500, even if you bought it
Absolutely
for
not.
50. Where I'm sorry, but I'd say 90% of the designers would charge that 5 and tack on their fee to it.
Well,
Do you
if
know
I
what I mean?
if I can fit it in my car, I will charge you for gas.
Okay, fair enough. I like that. I like
14
that.
cents a mile.
That's it.
That's all I charge.
It's still good.
Okay, good.
It's still good. Steve, how are you? Hope to see you soon. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys again, and I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart that
Oh,
you guys took
Greg.
the time out and I know it was a last minute thing, and I was so grateful that you guys
No,
showed
I'm,
up.
I'm grateful.
Greg, it's our
And
pleasure.
don't
We
worry,
couldn't
my
thank you more.
my fee will be get ready to paint, get ready to design the club. Listen, I do have to change, and I they always say when you own a club, every 2 years you're supposed to kind of change it up a little bit.
Sure.
So I don't know what I want to do next, but I have a funny feeling.
Oh,
You
I've
do.
I already have it
Look
done.
at you, it's already done
Oh,
already.
it's
Look at
already
it.
done.
It's
It's
already done.
Not to worry.
So I wanted to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Tranquility Spa for all your massage needs. And also want to thank Oral Puro. Teddy, we love you for all your jewelry needs. Jackson Hewitt, he is the best accountant in the world. His name is Prince. The guy is an amazing man. And for our friends and viewers and people that missed the show, which you'll see, the people will see later, I love you guys. Valentina, I will see you tomorrow, and it's going to be a beautiful day, a beautiful wedding with Jen and Jen. We wish you guys the best, and I will see you then.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.